Welcome to another scriptural study. In this scriptural study, we will be once again sharing how anyone can guard the month of Abib without the need and or utilization of any of the technological devices from humankind. In fact, and as we have shared so many times in the past 15 years, with what diligent Bereans call the Moshe and or Moses example. Because the question is this: what did Moses do while sojourning in the desert for 40 years to guard the month of Abib? It is extremely obvious that he did not utilize a cell phone and or a computer to guard the month of Abib. As always, it will be imperative that you place your screen to full view and to stop the video at any time to further focus on the scriptural, astronomical, etymological, historical, archaeological, and mathematical empirical witnesses being shared. Because we will also be revisiting at a very high level in what we have already shared so many times in the past 15 years with the scriptural study articles in this scriptural subject matter under the scriptural proposed study format, in order to do our best with a diligent Berean approach to test and prove all things. And since the pagan year 2013, when we first started this particular scriptural study YouTube channel, we have extensively shared how anyone who is indeed interested in utilizing all of the scriptural witnesses of light with the sun, moon, and stars to tell time, more specifically, the appointed times of Yahuwah, that anyone on their own can indeed number their days just with the scriptural witnesses of light, which are known as the perfect gifts from above, given to us from Yahuwah himself, our Father of lights. So, how does one guard the month of Abib without man-made technology? Just like Moshe would have had to do while sojourning 40 years in the desert. In the original book of Devarim, which literally means, quote, the word, end of quote, it does indeed tell us to guard the month of Abib. The original Hebrew meaning of the word guard was the Hebrew word shamar, which meant to guard by protecting, to guard by being aware, attending to, and being circumspect, to take heed, to mark, to look narrowly, to observe and preserve, to wait and watch. But to mark what? Let alone, what are we to preserve? Furthermore, what are we to wait for to watch? As we have previously covered in articles and scriptural study videos in the past, did Moshe utilize a cell phone and or a computer to call someone in Egypt to figure out when Abib was, with the Egyptian non-scriptural one-witness timing system? Of course not, because isn't it true he just utilized all of the scriptural witnesses of light with the sun, moon, and stars to tell time? More specifically, the appointed times of Yahuwah, which includes the age-old practice and method on how to guard and or shamar the month of Abib without any human technological devices. Yes, many have written many books on how the ancients utilized the sun, moon, and stars from the Father of Lights as a celestial clock to tell time. let alone to accurately and precisely navigate through the oceans, seas, and yes, to navigate over the vast expanses of Earth without cell phones and or computers. Just as we have covered in so many past scriptural study videos and articles. We have even covered how the Apostle Shaul determined when it was safe to travel on the open seas, and how the scriptural stars were even utilized in the Mediterranean, with the 7 scriptural star cluster known today as Pleiades, anciently known as Chema and or the 7 sisters, and just how they signaled when it was safe to sail in the summer, to get to Shavuot as an example, as the alignment of Pleiades with the scriptural star known as Ash, known today as Arcturus, was very useful indeed for one's well-being. In fact, I was introduced to this celestial navigation and timing system before the age of 10 as a Boy Scout, not knowing that this information, as contained in the Boy Scout manual, actually came from the scriptures originally. Yes, even the Boy Scout manual knew how to tell time and how to safely navigate with the scriptural stars, as seen with the naked eye, starting with the Big Dipper known as Ursa Major today. And the Boy Scout manual also reveals how Ursa Major revolves around the fixed North Star counterclockwise, this star obviously known today as Polaris. And of course, the Boy Scout manual reveals how Ursa Major revolves counterclockwise around the fixed North Star known as Polaris in just less than 24 hours daily. And hallelujah that we learnt later on as adults just why scripturally that Ursa Major does indeed revolve counterclockwise around the fixed star or North Star in 23 hours, 56 minutes, and 4.09 seconds daily. Just a little less than 24 hours, just as the Boy Scouts manual shared. And yes, the Boy Scouts manual also revealed how the scriptural stars known as Arcturus and Spica are aligned with Ursa Major, and why these 2 scriptural stars help with telling time, let alone are utilized to this very day for precise navigation. Just like our Father of Lights, Yahuwah himself explained to Eob, known as Job today in the book of Job, chapter 38. Hallelujah that Ursa Major has 2 sons known as Arcturus and Spica to help tell time, let alone to help accurately and precisely navigate. Yes, it is this basic, as even Boy Scouts are taught to follow the arc from Ursa Major to Arcturus, and then to drive on to Spica to navigate and tell time. And hallelujah that the star known as Spica today was anciently known as Abib, because it is no coincidence that multitudes of archaeological and historical records verify that the scriptural star known today as Spica was indeed anciently known as Abib. Yes, the star Abib is indeed Spica, as the ancients knew exactly in degrees to the eastern cardinal point where Abib rose in their area in the true springtime period, above the eastern horizon as the sun set in the west. And they also knew the full moon would be riding close at hand to the star known as Abib, and thus allowing anyone without human technology to guard the month of Abib, starting from sunset because the moon will rule with the star known as Abib, just as the Psalms share. Through all 4 scriptural night watches, all the way up to and just before sunrise. Hallelujah that the ancients were well aware of how to know when true spring was. Yes, the first day of the first month, and that it was when the star Abib was in opposition to the sun just before sunrise. Please be a diligent Berean and research this out for yourself, as there are many resources to prove this historically and archaeologically that verify what can obviously be guarded in the Shamayim year after year. As in today's age, there is no longer an excuse to not know this extremely basic scriptural and astronomical information, which can be found today online with so many resources that share information about all of the scriptural stars and not just Abib. But here is the catch. If you do not go outside to test and prove, in other words, to shamar this for yourself, then you are truly not guarding Abib to see what truly happens in the Shamayim. Because during the first scriptural month of Abib, it is only the full moon and stars which will reveal how this celestial clock rules by night just after sunset. And yes, ensuring our eyes go before all of the entire 4 night watches, all the way toward sunrise to guard Abib, the first day of the first month on the celestial clock and calendar of Yahuwah. Hallelujah that Moshe knew what even young Boy Scouts can know today. Need more evidence? Then yes, be a diligent Berean and learn how this extremely basic lost art of navigating and telling time with the stars from the skills of the ancients with all of their scriptural star knowledge is indeed so easy. So yes, work out your own deliverance. Get outside to see this for yourself and truly guard Abib with the non-technological tools and our body parts that our Father of Lights gave us to shamar his Shamayim, just like the ancients did, let alone Moshe. Because when we guard the month of Abib and shamar all of the scriptural witnesses of light, we will start to memorize and preserve what we see. Better stated, diligent Bereans keep this information of light and time, and thus mark it down, keeping written records of what they actually shamar in the Shamayim year after year. Hallelujah that there are diligent Bereans who truly regard this information by reserving it and saving it and sharing it with others out of a loving, scriptural, servant mindset. As an example, in the pagan year 2018 in my area, I and other fellow Bereans tested and proved and thus confirmed the night before the first day of the first month of Abib that the full moon indeed ruled the night with the star known as Abib and the other scriptural stars too. And that, and as an example as we can see here, the star known today as Spica ruled for 10 hours and 16 minutes the night before the first day of the first month of Abib. And that this star known scripturally as Abib rose in my area at 107 degrees east and set at 253 degrees west, for the same time period with the dates shared in this preserved worksheet that has the scriptural intent to correctly and accurately guard the month of Abib year after year. Well, what about the pagan year 2019? Hallelujah that once again the full moon ruled the night, and hallelujah, the star known as Abib ruled 10 hours and 16 minutes, and rose and set in the same manner as it does year after year for an Abib celestial sign and or event in my area. And thus why we have an extreme confident expectation on just why the first day of the first month of Abib will commence on the pagan day of Wednesday, April 8th, 2020 in my area. And this is why we are so thankful for fellow Bereans who have learnt that we do not need human technology to guard the month of Abib. And yes, and thus why we do not have any issues with fellow Bereans who utilize the man-made tools as well. After all, these tools are only attempting to measure the witnesses of light and the total time they rule night after night, which anyone on their own can diligently discern for themselves outside in creation. Yes, we remain ever more thankful for fellow Bereans who measure all of the witnesses of light from the Father of lights, let alone the total time night after night they rule, including for the determination of the first day of the first month of Abib. Hallelujah for fellow Bereans who understand how to measure all of the witnesses of light from the Scriptures and the total time they rule night after night, and again, including the determination of the first day of the first month of Abib. Hallelujah for our Berean friends in Israel who know how to measure all of the scriptural lights and the total time they rule night after night for their area, and that they have also confirmed the same first day of the first month of Abib in previous years, and they as well have a full confident expectation that the first day of the first month will commence on the pagan day of Wednesday, April 8th, 2020. Just like our Berean friends in Texas, and even our Berean friends in Australia, let alone all of those fellow Bereans we are privileged to assemble with all over Earth that we have shared about in the past, as in this particular scriptural study video, and along with these two clips as well. Yes, it is indeed a YAHsome timing system that does not require technology, but it would be extremely irresponsible of me, and or anyone else for that matter, to share with anyone that you must only utilize a one-witness approach with only one star for determining Abib. Because diligent Bereans are extremely thankful that every good gift and every perfect gift, which is from above, which comes down to us from our Father of lights, with whom there is no change nor shadow of turning. Because, and as per this excellent example, you could be locked in a dungeon for the 12th, 1st, and 2nd month, and or in a coma for 3 months. But when you came out of that dungeon, and or a coma in the 3rd month, let's say, you then, without worry and or concern, could indeed be fully aware of what day it is when you came out after 3 months. But only if you know how to utilize all of the scriptural witnesses of light, to number all of your days and not just for one day a year. Hallelujah for diligent Bereans who continually strive to further learn about the laws of the heavens and just how they are set to rule over the earth, day after day and night after night. So please watch out for the non-scriptural one-witness approach in all of its various forms that anyone can research on their own to learn just why human beings have such an intrinsic desire to dumb down in order to make people think smaller and not bigger when it comes to all of the scriptural witnesses of light from our Father of Lights. And please stop relying on people who claim to be wise and attempt to change the esteem of the incorruptible Almighty Yahuwah into and with the non-scriptural images of astrology, because it is a proven fact historically and archaeologically the astrological images of corruptible man will not help you to number your days correctly, nor will the non-scriptural astrological images of birds and or the non-scriptural astrological man-made images of four-footed beasts, let alone the non-scriptural man-made astrological images of reptiles. So please watch out for those who are claiming to be wise with this non-scriptural approach, as it is no different than the approach and non-scriptural process of world religions and those in them who claim to be wise, with their ongoing intent to dumb down the masses as well. There are excellent scriptural reasons why none of us are to be called teachers and or leaders, because our only teacher and leader is to be the Messiah, Yahushua. Because isn't it true that only the Messiah, Yahushua, shows true humility by admitting that his teaching was not his or from himself personally, but that what he taught was from Yahuwah, the Father of Lights? And thus why we as Bereans admit we are not teachers and or leaders, because we are just diligent in assembling with each other to further learn how to trust Yahuwah with all our heart and to not lean on our own understanding. When it comes to further learning about all of the scriptural witnesses of light that teach us to number our days to bring our hearts to wisdom. Hallelujah for the perfect gifts from above, from the Father of Lights, with whom there is no change nor shadow of turning. We continue to call upon the name that these scriptural study videos provide value to you and your loved ones. Until next time, Yahuwah willing, all the best in the name which is above all names.